2020 has been an absolutely insane year for sports cards. We had massive card sales happening left and right. Giannis selling for 1.8 million, LeBron selling for 1.8 million, Mike Trout selling for 3.8 million. Everyone jumping back into sports cards during COVID. Luka Doncic base Prism PSA 10s going from $200 to $2,000. Just insane stuff going on in the market. Even not in sports cards, we saw Charizard first edition Shadowless PSA 10 selling for $220,000 to Logic. We saw Logan Paul opening up a live stream box break of the 1999 first edition set, selling the packs for $11,000 each. Just absolutely crazy stuff going on in the marketplace in 2020. Except yesterday, there was news that broke that was bigger than any of these things. Let's dig into it. Welcome everyone to the Slab Stock Show. My name is Aaron, your host for this episode. Today we are digging into the biggest news of sports cards for 2020. If you're new here, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps us get this channel out to others so we can talk more sports cards with you all. But we're going to focus on this news because it's massive. PSA is the biggest card grading company out there right now. They're grading cards left and right, massive cards. Card values are going for insane amounts as PSA 10s. And their parent company is Collector Universe, which is publicly traded with the stock sign CLCT. And that company, the parent company that holds over PSA, just sold yesterday in a private transaction for $700 million, to Nat Turner and an investor group. We're going to dig in more later into Nat Turner and his background, but it is just an insane sale. It is massive. There are people out there that love it. There are people out there that hate it. There's just so much to dig apart and to figure out, what's going on with this transaction. What does it mean for the sports card landscape? What does it mean for you as an investor, as a collector, for grading your cards, for securing that profit? Because we do know that card grading is one of the biggest ways that people make money in sports cards, and it brings in the most people also into sports cards because they can treat sports cards as investments. A PSA 10 is a PSA 10, a PSA 9 is a PSA 9. There's gray areas sometimes, but not as much as with selling non-graded cards. The sale of these $700 million is equal to paying out all the shareholders is $75.25. The morning that the news was announced, the stock was sitting around $76, but the way that they got that $75.25 value is that they took the weighted average of the stock for the last 2 months and applied a 30% premium to it. But even if looking at the morning of the stock, what it was valued at is valued at $76, which is really interesting to see, which is why it's leaving a lot of people that own the stock publicly upset right now, which we'll talk about later. But before getting into the pros and the cons of this and what it means for the hobby going forward, we need to just look at what CLCT has done in 2020 because it's been incredible. If you look back at the stock chart, it has been an insane rise. It started the year around $22. It bottomed out around $14 per share, and then it skyrocketed all the way up to $76 the morning of the announcement. The sale is set to go in at $75.25 a share, and it's just been an insane year for the publicly traded stock, which really pretty much shows you what the sports card industry has done in general. PSA is one of the leading companies. It probably is the biggest company in sports cards, and it's just ridiculous to see what they've done this year and how many people have been grading their cards. And this is all with not great customer service and not great handling times and not great return times. And there's so many ways that this business can be better and can be faster and get all those cards out there. It's just crazy to see how well they've done with also doing so poorly in certain areas. And that's really why this transaction is huge for the industry. Bringing in Nat Turner, someone who is a sports card enthusiast, who's been around sports cards for so long, knows the pain points, knows what can be fixed, knows what can help the general collector. It really should help a lot in that sense. Speaking of Nat Turner, so many of you probably right now are thinking, who the heck is Nat Turner? Why should I care? Why does it matter that Nat Turner just acquired PSA for $700 million, really collector's universe, as I was saying. But PSA is the big part that we care about here. It's super important. So Nat Turner is a huge sports card collector, and he also is a serial entrepreneur really in the tech space. He has owned and exited many different companies in the past. You guys will see a list here of all the companies that he's actively invested in, and then also the companies that he's either exited in, IPO'd, or have been Deadpooled. So there's so many different companies that he's been involved in, building companies, growing companies, taking them from nothing to something, even founded a healthcare IT company that focuses on research in oncology that was valued at $2 billion, which is insane. So there's a lot to see there with how he's built companies, how he's progressed companies, and hopefully we can see some of the same here with PSA and Collectors Universe. Nat Turner does have a personal Instagram account that you guys can go follow and check out all the cards he has. It's incredible, his collection. It's massive. It's huge. He's only 34, by the way, and he's accomplished all these companies by the time he's 34, and he's done a ton of companies before he even went to college and stuff. And it's just crazy to see his business growth and what he's accomplished and how hopefully all that can be mirrored into success with Collector Universe and PSA. Regardless if you think that this is awesome for PSA, for Collector Universe, or if you think that this is awful, there's one thing that can be said that is true. It is ridiculous the amount of media attention that this has brought to the hobby, to the investment game, to PSA, to Nat Turner. Just the media attention is off the charts. Everywhere that covers business is reporting on this. Everywhere that covers sports cards is reporting on this. We posted about it. There was hundreds of comments, got shared hundreds of times. It's just ridiculous the amount of attention that this is bringing. Seeing a $700 million transaction, that has got to be one of the biggest sports card transactions related of all time. Of course, it's not an exact sports card, but it's directly related to the industry, and it's extremely important. And regardless if you love it or hate it, it's brought a ton of attention, just a ton of attention. Something to point out that Nat Turner's investor group with him is not any slouches. It's just not, Joe Schmoes off the street. There's a huge name in here, and that huge name is Steven Cohen. And if you do not know who Steven Cohen is, he is currently the majority owner of the New York Mets, just acquired them. And it's crazy to see someone who's so big in the sports and entrepreneurship space and hedge fund management space get really involved in the sports cards with the biggest company out there that can make an impact on the hobby and its development moving forward. Now, here's some quotes from Globe Newswire that focuses on what PSA is doing currently, their president, Joe Orlando, and what he thinks can happen with Nat Turner. This reads, "As we look to our next chapter, I'm excited to partner with Nat, a fellow lifelong collector and hobbyist whose passion for the collectibles space and substantial experience scaling technology businesses will help position Collectors Universe to drive continued growth and success in our PSA and PCGS brands over the long term." Now, for any of you guys out there that knows the pain points of grading, so much of it is subjectivity. So much of it is the human error that goes into grading cards, looking at cards, understanding the corners, the edges, the centering, the surfaces. So much changes grader to grader, and people even crack and submit cards to get better grades in the future. Now, there's so much talk about the potential of Nat Turner coming in, his investor group coming in, reforming grading and bringing AI and digital grading to the table that analyzes cards and can objectively grade them and assign them grades so that there's a standard across all grading that we know that we can compare grades because it was done by a computer. Now, here's a quote from Nat Turner also that shows his excitement for coming in and hopefully reforming and bringing change to PSA and Collectors Universe to help you out and the hobby. "I have tremendous respect for the high quality services Collectors Universe provides and the leadership position its talented team led by Joe Orlando has built. We are committed to bringing the resources and expertise necessary to expand the company's operational capacity and technological capabilities while enhancing the accuracy and consistency for which Collectors Universe is known." And right there, it just hits on the point, expanding the operation and the technological capabilities of the company. It might not be immediate, of course, investing in AI grading, digital grading, and creating that standard and getting it perfected is going to take time. It's going to take money, but that's a huge, huge, huge thing for one, Collectors Universe to standardize their process, to lower costs, and to grade more cards. And two, it's huge for you as collectors and as investors to be able to get your grades back in timely fashion and not have to wait 6 months for a PSA order. Instead, hopefully turnaround times are extremely quick and that they have better ways to process orders as well, which should speed up the order times tremendously. One of the biggest things to note from this sale is that it is still pending. Stockholders, some of them out there are not happy about the valuation at which this is being sold. So there is some investigations going into that, but that's just something to keep on your radar. Still, keeping this at the forefront, knowing what's going on is super important with this huge sale. All right, time for some pros and cons on this $700 million deal and what it can mean for the sports card market and hobby going forward. The absolute biggest pro out of this is getting Nat Turner on the team, no question. Looking at Nat Turner, looking at what he's done in the past, looking at that he is a huge sports card collector and understands what's going on in the market, understands the pain points of the customer and what they're having issues with PSA, with Collector Universe, and getting him in there to lead the charge, to lead the change, and to bring new innovative technologies, new innovative capabilities, and get that operational system humming is huge. And that is for sure the biggest pro out of all of this. It should really help getting someone in there that knows what they're doing, that's an avid fan, collector, sports card enthusiast. It should help big time with relieving these pain points with the order difficulties and the grade times and everything. It should get cards into your hands faster. Another huge pro of this is automated grading potential. Grading obviously is done by hand right now, and it takes forever, and automated grading would speed up the process with lower costs for PSA and Collectors Universe once they get it situated and going. And that could even in turn hopefully lead to lower costs for you potentially, but who really knows on that, because they're going to set their business model. I can't determine that, but we'll see what happens with that. As for some cons, so the first con is shareholders are extremely upset and being upset with the valuation that the company got, so they're forced to sell their shares at $75.25. The stock went from $22 to $75 in the span of January to November. And now they're upset that they don't have that chance to capture even more profit along the way as this company builds. As the sports car market rises, they are forced to sell at $75.25. And there's a lot of people out there that are upset about that. One of our Instagram followers, Ben Hoden here, reading, "This is horrible. As a longtime owner, I think this stock is just at the beginning of a massive move due to the explosion in the sports card market. Current owners are now being robbed of those future gains." So there's just an example of one person out there is very upset about the possibility of selling at $75.25 a share, but many out there are agreeing with them, and many out there are upset as well because they do really value the potential of this as a publicly traded company. Another con to this is that from them going from public to private, they're not going to have that board of directors that are constantly breathing down their necks, hoping that they can make the right moves, that they can scrutinize them for anything that they do wrong. Now, that is also a pro in some sense, because now Nat Turner isn't going to have to report to board of directors and to make sure that all the moves are being approved and whatnot. Now he can just go on and run with his investor group and make decisions that can hopefully progress the business faster, bring change faster, and hopefully get those cards back to you guys faster. Because in reality, that's really what we are all hoping for, is quicker turnaround times, better customer service can lead to more cards being turned in and out of PSA, better for PSA as well. A similar concern that some people have is the transparency that will be had now with a private company. Wheels Up in 30 here details it. "The consequences will be highly negative in my opinion. Being public allows a public level of scrutiny needed for any major issues to be handled. With the company going private, especially under Nat Turner, I see much trouble ahead and less transparency. I was waiting a couple years to start grading my cards, but now I highly doubt it'll be grading anything for 5 years plus, and definitely not via PSA. I hope the hobby now shifts back to straight ungraded eye appeal for price basis the way it used to be." Now that we laid out the pros and cons, it's time to analyze these and understand what this really does mean for the hobby going forward. In my opinion, I think that this is great for PSA, great for Collectors Universe, and great for you as a hobby member. Now, I know a lot of people might be upset about the shareholders not being able to sell their stock for higher in the future. Throwing that out the window, if you don't own stock at all in Collectors Universe, this is awesome, because I think that this is going to bring great leadership to the table for PSA, for Collectors Universe, getting actual change happening there. Now, yes, they are making strides. They have been increasing capacity. They've been doing a lot of things to help, which is great. I think it's really keeping PSA at the forefront for a top brand and top brand equity out there. But I really think bringing in Nat Turner, bringing in a big investor group is going to help drive change faster. And of course, not all change is good change. There's going to be, mistakes made along the way, most likely. But what we can look forward to is hopefully some innovation in the technological capability section of PSA, hopefully bringing some type of AI to the table, even if it's just in terms of handling orders and processing orders and getting the robots working properly to analyze them, to research the cards and ID them properly. Next step is to actually grade the cards digitally, which should help turn orders around faster and put cards into your hands faster, not waste your time, not waste PSA's time, and just really get a good operational capabilities going in that warehouse. As we all know, sports card grading is now one of the biggest drivers of the industry, of the market, keeps the industry moving, keeps getting new cards graded and getting those graded cards into investors' hands, which is really what's driving so much growth in the hobby and the industry space. So this is an insanely important sale, an insanely important topic to cover. This is by far the biggest news when it comes to sports card transactions in 2020. And I'm not even talking just straight sports cards, obviously. Anything related to sports cards, this is the biggest news. A $700 million sale of a company going from public to private, trying to build this industry up, trying to build their company up. It's going to be incredible to watch. I am super excited to watch it from the sidelines, to see what goes on and to see how PSA and Collectors Universe improves under Nat Turner's vision and lead. I'm trusting in him. I hope you guys are too, because I think that this is going to be huge for our industry to keep progressing forward, to keep finding new ways to innovate, to keep finding more ways to build the industry. And it's going to be really important to get new people involved as well. And I see no way that this isn't going to help by bringing in more visionary from the collector's perspective. Now, yes, you guys can be upset maybe about the shareholder cost and what you're not getting in terms of a stockholder value of $75.25. But I really think that this is huge to have a collector's vision behind there. Very smart entrepreneurship mindset, has obviously succeeded in many tech companies in the past, has driven growth, has driven change. And I think that's going to happen again with PSA and Collectors Universe from Nat Turner. I am very excited to see the change that happens at PSA and Collectors Universe and to see Nat Turner's vision play out. I hope you all are too. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. It helps us out tremendously. My name is Aaron, your host for this Slab Stock Show. I will see you guys in the next video.